The month of October is here, and you just get the feeling that maybe, just maybe, the games mean a little bit more right now. And that is definitely the case for a few conferences. Still a lot of crossover action going on, and a big bye week ahead for a couple of conferences. We'll talk about that and more tonight as we are breezing into the month of October. But before we get any farther, let me say, you are awesome. Thank you so much for stopping by Midwest Sports Net tonight to watch college football this week. I'm Joey McWilliams. Glad that you are with us. And you know what? It is, it's not only is it anniversary week and anniversary weekend ahead, but it's actually the anniversary today. So a shout out to Mrs. Midwest Sports Net. Happy anniversary to her 32nd anniversary. And so definitely wanted to give a shout out to her as well tonight. I really, seriously, literally could not do this show without her. So I'm very, very thankful that she's along for the ride and in so many different areas. All right. We have a lot to talk about, like I said, but because it is anniversary week, it may be a bit of an abridged broadcast tonight and likely one on Sunday as well. But we're going to get all the way through all those things. Before we do, let's say hi really quickly. Leo, man, I'm glad you can make it tonight for the live portion of the show. Although making sure you have your Bet the Barn picks in the comment section, that's cool too. I appreciate that. And a big go Blue Raiders from Jordan, as we expect to see that from you, Jordan. So a big game this weekend ahead. Hopefully for you, you'll have a lot to cheer about. I don't know about Tigers fans, but definitely you'll have a lot to cheer about there. So we give a shout out to you as well. If you are watching tonight, let us know from where you're watching or maybe who you are cheering for in the week ahead. The Bet the Barn segment, that is at the end of the broadcast tonight, so stay tuned to that. But again, we're going to get to it a little bit more quickly. Let's talk about the games that are at hand. Oh, actually, you know what? Let's get a couple things in first. News this week is that Andrew College, a formerly NJCAA college, is going to be making the move to the NAI. One of two colleges moving to the NAI, and Andrew has a football team. The Andrew Fighting Tigers, who are now 4-0, by the way, in their the overall record, playing in the NJCAA right now, 4-0 overall. That means there are 3 new teams that are going to be playing NAI football in 2026. Now, we know that Siena Heights is exiting the NAIA with the university, unfortunately for them, shutting down. But there are 3 new football programs. Mount Mercy, we've talked about them. Of course, Mount Marty's already in. Mount Mercy is going to be fielding a football team. St. Mary of the Woods, who has a sprint football team, is going to be filling out an all-out NAIA program. And then, of course, now the Fighting Tigers of Andrew. So 94 teams that compete in the NAIA in 2025. You add 3, you take away 1, a net gain of 2 right now. And who knows if there are going to be more between now and 2026. So at the moment, looking at 96 teams that will be taking to the field in the NAIA in 2026. All right, let's take a look really quickly now at the media poll presented by NAIAF Ball. And a shout out to Corey and Matt. And due to all kinds of things, I heard that Matt had dental surgery. Corey's moving, and they didn't get a chance to post this, at least video-wise, on YouTube. So I wanted to go ahead and see if we could do that for them. The top 25, according to the media poll, looks like this. Evangel still in at number 25 after a couple of losses. Olivet Nazarene, the Tigers looking good. Mid-America Nazarene, just 1 loss on the season. College of Idaho dropped a little bit after the loss last weekend, but still in the top 25. And William Penn with a 5-0 record into that top 25. And we move on into the next grouping there. Carroll up from 25 up to number 20 this week. Concordia, the Bulldogs, still undefeated. Southwestern rolling last week with 80 points on the board. McPherson continuing to roll. Also, the Bulldogs undefeated. Georgetown undefeated. No, Georgetown had a loss last week, but looking to go into the Mid-South Conference portion of the schedule. Big game coming up against a top 10 opponent. OUAZ undefeated. Indiana Wesleyan still in at number 14. And Southeastern undefeated, looking good, are the Fire. Dort, solid, making some noise in the GPAC, up to number 12. And Campbellsville, the Tigers at number 11, just outside that top 10. where they were last week, but there's been a little bit of movement. So, it's tough that bye week that sometimes you can be bypassed in the rankings. Marion moves up to that number 10 spot, St. Thomas at number 9, Montana Western, and then Lindsey Wilson moving up to number 7. Again, big matchup between Lindsey Wilson and Georgetown this weekend. The top 6 remain as they were in the media poll last week, with NAI F-Ball presenting that. Friends, Montana Tech, Morningside, Kaiser, Benedictine, and, of course, Grandview at the top with 18 consecutive wins now. We'll talk about them briefly as we move on. So that is a look at the news and the media poll. Let's move right through the schedule here, talk about the games that are ahead before we get to our Bet the Barn segment on this abridged version of college football this week. Florida Memorial 1-2 taking on Southeastern. This game was canceled last year. It's the 5th meeting between the two, and the Fire are 3-1 all-time against the Lions. The winner of this one comes out in really good shape in the Sun Conference. Could be a big one. Southeastern looking very good, defeating Faulkner last week 26-19. And Florida Memorial got its first win of the season, last week against Cumberland 24-19. We may be going to the early cough drop in this broadcast tonight. Thomas is still without a win. Yeah, there we go. You know what? That probably, if I were going to look for sponsorship for this, I think I might see if I could reach out to the folks who make these cough drops because they're very good. Not going to mention it just yet, but maybe someday. A winless Thomas team taking on a team without a loss in Kaiser. Thomas on the road at the Seahawks. Third meeting, Kaiser's won each of the previous two, 52-17, 44-12 in the last 2 years. Ave Maria with a win last time out. That was over Fort Lauderdale. 1-2 now in the year, taking on St. Thomas. 7th meeting between the two, and the Bobcats have won 5 straight, 5-1 all-time against Ave Maria. Warner and Weber. The Royals 0-3, Weber International 2-2. This season's been series has been very tight. 7-6. Weber International with the lead all time, and the Warriors have now won 4 straight in the series. This one out of conference and really out of affiliation. Fort Lauderdale is on the road at Louisiana Christian. The Eagles taking on the Wildcats. First meeting between these two. Louisiana Christian beat Panhandle State last week 56-27. Shout out really quickly to Dave. Thanks for being a part of the broadcast tonight, Dave. Go Stangs. Roll Stangs, excuse me. I want to say it right to definitely get that across. The Appalachian Athletic Conference schedule is starting, so these games really, really do mean something this week. Kentucky Christian on the road at Rio Grande as the Knights are going to take on the Red Storm in the first ever conference game for Rio Grande. Red Storm 0-3 on the season. Kentucky Christian 2-2, having lost to Morehead State in the last time out. Bluefield 1-3 on the road at Point, 0-4, 11th meeting between the two. Point has a 6-4 advantage in this series. Bluefield won this game last year 18-17, and it was a game that I think realistically may have cost Point a playoff spot last year. The Skyhawks 0-4 right now, and a new head coach coming in. Would that have been the case if they make the playoffs last year? Is it a change in coach? And Bluefield really had something to do with that. An 18-17 victory late in the season over the Skyhawks. This one's going to be in Alabama. Union Commonwealth 1-3 at Reinhardt. 11th meeting between the two. And the Eagles have won all 10 of the previous matchups, winning 49-21 last year. The Mid-South schedule gets underway with a big-time matchup. Lindsey Wilson at Georgetown. The Blue Raiders 4-0. The Tigers 3-1. 16th meeting between the two. Lindsey Wilson's 9-6 all-time, although Georgetown did win 27-10 in 2024. That was the regular season finale. Interesting thing about this is that Lindsey Wilson is one of only 2 teams that Georgetown has played at least 15 times that has a winning record against the Tigers. That's big. All the teams that Georgetown's played at least 15 times have had a winning record except for Lindsey Wilson and Carson Newman. Division II program now that made a lot of noise in the NAIA a few years back. So just something to keep in mind. Lindsey Wilson coming off a win over Reinhardt And Georgetown lost to St. Thomas 26-7. Bethel 1-2 at Faulkner 3-1. 13th meeting between these two. Bethel with an 8-4 advantage in the series all time. Won 56-0 in 2024 and won the last three contests over Faulkner by a combined 177-6. So Faulkner under new management this season, 3-1 on the year. Let's see how they fare against the Wildcats. Bethel coming in. Cumberland's 3-1. Campbellsville 4-0. 38th meeting between the two. Cumberland's, with a 23-14 all-time record in the series. But Campbellsville won by 40 in 2024. A lot on the line in this one. And you definitely say that the team coming out on top in this one has a whole lot of momentum going into the remainder of the Mid-South Conference schedule. Some crossovers in the Mid-States. St. Francis of Illinois at Indiana Wesleyan. Both these teams with 2 losses. Neither one wants to pick up a loss heading into divisional play. I know it all kind of sorts itself out again once you get into that divisional portion of the schedule, but you certainly don't want to take 3 losses in. Third meeting between the two, the Wildcats won 38-3 in 2024 and 35-34 7 years ago in 2018. Judson has yet to get a win, 0-4 on the road at Siena Heights. The Saints on the farewell tour, second meeting between the two. Siena Heights won 2 years ago, 58-14 over the Eagles. Marion, 3-1 at Madonna, 1-3. Fourth meeting between the two. The Knights own a 3-0 advantage, all-time, winning 41-0 2 years ago. St. Francis of Indiana at Taylor, another crossover game in the way the slate shakes itself out right now. 25th meeting between the two. St. Francis, 21-3 all-time over Taylor in this series. But Taylor won one of those 3 last year, 58-36, the victory over the Cougars. St. Xavier, another set of Cougars, 2-2. Defiance, 2-2. Second meeting, as Defiance has moved from Division III into NAI. Last year, St. Xavier won 45-14. Moving to the Heart, and there is some divisional play going on, a crossover as well. We'll talk about all of it. This one, a big-time matchup in the North. Grandview, undefeated at 4-0. William Penn, undefeated at 5-0. William Penn was not picked first in the division or second in the division or third in the division. Picked fourth in the division, but making some noise right now. 17th meeting between these two. The Vikings have won 13 of the previous 16 meetings and 7 straight in the series. We'll talk about this a little bit later on in the Bet the Barn segment. Benedictine 4-1 at Missouri Baptist. Traveling to St. Louis, Benedictine has won the previous 2 meetings between the two. 48-14 last year, 34-16 2 years ago. Third meeting in this series. But Missouri Baptist, and I will say this for the Spartans, 1-3 right now. Those 3 losses came in the previous 3 games to Grandview, Graceland at full strength, and we'll talk about Graceland a little bit later on too, and Mid-America Nazarene. Big-time opponents there. The Spartans, though, need a win against that upper tier in the Heart to really show that they've arrived in the conference, playing Benedictine this week, hosting Benedictine this week. A crossover game in the Heart has St. Ambrose, 1-4, taking on Missouri Valley at 2-2. Third meeting between the two. This is the rubber match. However, it's taken a long time to get that rubber match in this series. The last time these two teams met was in 1957. St. Ambrose with a 46-0 win over Missouri Valley in 1957. And the previous year in 1956, Missouri Valley won at 27-19. So imagine having to wait that long to play the rubber match in the series. You're watching Midwest Sports Net right now, and tonight's show, College Football This Week. Thanks for watching, and I appreciate you being a part of the broadcast. We have a great community here on this show in particular, but also on the channel as a whole. So feel free to be a part of the chat. Feel free to comment as well and take part in what's going on. It is a good community, but a good community nonetheless right here on this channel. William Woods is 0-5. The Owls need a win. And Baker playing at home, that's a tough place to try to pick up a win. The Wildcats played like wounded animals last week and got their first win of the season. This is the second meeting between these two. Baker won last year, 67-28. Central Methodist, 2-3. The first time to have more than one win in a season since 2021. And the Eagles are on the road taking on the Pioneers in Olathe. Mid-America Nazarene, 4-1. 46th meeting between the two. Mid-America Nazarene owns a 38-6 record over Central Methodist, winning 70-14 last year and 3 straight in the series. Clark, coming off its first win of the season, now 1-3, heads over to Nebraska to take on Peru State. 3-2, 6th meeting between the two schools. Peru State won last year 34-9. Culver Stockton, 2-3, on the road, traveling to Lamoni to take on the Yellow Jackets of Graceland, who are now 2-2 on the year. 65th meeting between the two. And it was a rough go last week for Graceland, losing to Clark in a tough matchup, but also losing C.J. Brooks for the season. Broke his wrist, and he is out for the year. Our condolences to Charles, who is a member of this community as well, and we hated to hear that for him and for C.J. too. So I checked on that a little bit. That, of course, is the official word. A starting quarterback for this weekend, though, has not yet been named. So we'll see how that one pans out. To the GPAC. Waldorf, 0-5, traveling to Sioux City to pick up the first win of the year if you can. This is a favorable matchup for Morningside. The Mustangs are 3-1, have played Waldorf only one time before. That was last year, and beat the Warriors 70-7. So Morningside 3-1 on the year. The Mustangs have won 21 of their last 23 regular season games. Zach Chevalier, 16 passing touchdowns, is third in the NAI. And Drew Sellen is sporting 134 receiving yards per game. That's also good enough to be third in the NAI with 7 receiving touchdowns. That's tied for third in the NAI. So some nice numbers there for Morningside. Could put up some more numbers at home for that home crowd against Waldorf this weekend. We'll see how that pans out. And Dave, I'm sure this is of great interest to you. So let us know how this one works out. We'll talk about it, I'm sure, more on Sunday. Hastings 2-3 at Northwestern. 2-2 now. The Red Raiders, having lost 2 in the first 4 games. 38th meeting between the two. Northwestern 27-10 all time against the Broncos of Hastings. Briar Cliff. This one is a big matchup. 4-1. Dort 3-0. 18th meeting between the two. And Dort owns a 9-8 series advantage and won 55-7 in 2024. But this is interesting. I've talked on the channel all summer long about the rise of Dort's program, and that it started off with just a win and then got a couple wins, and then you get a couple more wins, and then Coach Penner arrives and you get a few more wins, and it's just up and up and up and up. Against Briar Cliff, Dort struggled for the first 8 contests in this series. Briar Cliff won the first 8. Since that time, Dort has won the next 9. So there's the 9-8 advantage for Dort, and it's been a series runs for these wins. History says Dort would win this one, but we'll see how it pans out. Chargers, again, come in 4-1, Dort 3-0. Big game in the GPAC this weekend. Concordia, the Bulldogs at Mount Marty, also a huge game this weekend. 5th meeting between the two. Concordia has won all 4 of the previous contests. Can the Lancers turn the tables and show that they belong in that upper tier of the GPAC? We'll see. One more in the GPAC has Dakota Wesleyan at 1-3, Doane at 1-3. Each team with one win on the season. Doane having won 25 of the previous 41 matchups here. It's the 42nd meeting between the two. Dakota Wesleyan won 47-21 in 2024. Where's that offense gone for the Tigers? It's hasn't been seen in a little while. Tigers are averaging 9 points a game in 4 straight losses in 2025. Friends, undefeated. The Falcons travel to Ottawa to take on the Braves, who are 2-3 right now. 65th meeting between the two. Ottawa 35-28-1 all time in this series, but Friends won 38-7 in 2024. Friends coming off a 53-0 blanking of Evangel last week. Big time win for the Falcons. McPherson also 5-0 on the road. Also, Bethany's 2-3, and the Swedes are hosting the Bulldogs. 92nd meeting between these two. Bethany owns a 57-32-3 all-time advantage, but McPherson has won 4 straight, including a 59-7 win last year. And in the 4 straight that McPherson has won, the Bulldogs have done it by a combined 202-13 points. That is really saying that you're going to win and doing it emphatically. Southwestern's 4-1. Avila is 0-5. 8th meeting between the two, and the Builders have won 5 of the last 7, including 4 straight, a 40-21 victory last year. Kansas Wesleyan coming off a loss. First loss of the season for the Coyotes, 4-1 now on the year. Evangel, 3-2. Also coming off a loss. 5th meeting between the two. Evangel is 3-1 all time in this one. Each team, big time, needs a win in this matchup. Sterling 1-4, Bethel 1-4. Both teams won their first game of the season last year. Can someone make it into a winning streak? Well, actually, one team or the other will have to make it into a winning streak, picking up a win this week. 88th meeting between the two. Bethel has won 51 of the previous 87. St. Mary at Tabor, 1-4. The Spires, after a big win early in the season, haven't been able to put any more wins with that. Tabor, coming off 3 straight losses, got a big-time win over Kansas Wesleyan last week, 28-19 the score. Tabor has won 16 of 25 meetings between these two schools, and they won 24-20 in 2024. It's easy to say. All right, Sooner Athletic Conference. OUAZ undefeated at 3-0. Langston at 1-3. We'll talk about this matchup a little bit later on as well. 8th meeting between the two in this one. And let's see, there we are. 8th meeting between the two in this one, and it's been tight. OUAZ 4-3, the all-time record. Won 42-32 last year. And as I mentioned, we'll talk about it a little bit later on, so I'll save that for just a little bit farther in the program. Panhandle State's 1-3 on the road at Wayland Baptist. Pioneers are 2-2. Panhandle State is 13-5 all-time in this series and has won 5 straight. Pioneers trying to turn things around at 500 on the season. Arkansas Baptist played an exhibition game last week, and the 2-2 Buffalo are on the road this week, traveling to Fort Worth to take on Texas Wesleyan. The Rams are 3-1, 3rd meeting all-time between the two, and Texas Wesleyan has won the previous 2 meetings, 77-0 in 2024, 62-0 in 2023. A combined 139 points put on the board between the two schools, and all of them were put on by Texas Wesleyan. We'll see how that pans out on Saturday. To the Frontier Conference, Dakota State 3-1 at Montana Tech. The Diggers 5-0 for the first time in program history. First meeting between these two programs. Big-time matchup in the Frontier, as is this one, or at least we thought it would be during the summer. Montana Western 3-1 at Southern Oregon, and the Raiders are 1-3. Southern Oregon 12-5 all-time in the series, won last year by 2 over the Bulldogs. And we did find out that Gunnar Yates is out for the season. He'll be having surgery, so we'll see how that pans out. We wish him the best as well as he gets better. Dickinson State 2-2. Mayville State hosting the Blue Hawks, and it's the 87th meeting between the two. Dickinson State's won 67 of the previous 86, winning twice in 2024, and the Comets need a win, and I don't see any of my normal Comet fans in the chat or the live portion of it right now, so comment Comets fans about this a little bit later on. Dickinson State has had the better of Mayville State in this series. We won last year twice and have won 20 consecutive matchups between the two, dating all the way back to 2011. So the Comets trying to turn the table. For Dickinson State, Marcus Sanders went out last week, and in the 2 deep this week, it's the ever popular not 1 and 2 in the 2 deep, it's 1 or 1. So it could be Marcus Sanders, it could be Hudson Groham, who came in last week, filled for Sanders. His brother Bridger played quarterback as well there at Dickinson State. So be looking for either Marcus Sanders or Hudson Groham to take the starting role on Saturday on the road at Mayville. College of Idaho's 3-1. Simpson is still winless and needs a win in a big-time way. They're at home. Second meeting between the two. The Red Hawks took on College of Idaho in the first ever NAIA game for the program and lost to College of Idaho 65-0. That was last year. We'll see how this one goes as Simpson is at home, but look to be getting some traction now, putting some points on the board in last week's loss. Rocky Mountain, another team that needs a win, 0-4 at Valley City State. And the Vikings are 3-1. First meeting between these two programs. Carroll, 3-1. Arizona Christian got his first win of the season last week, 1-2. Third meeting between the two, and the Saints have won twice, including a 28-0 shutout last year. So that takes us all the way through our NAI slate of games for week 6 for October 4th. And we've had our news. We've had our rankings, at least according to the media. Let's go ahead and get to the Bet the Barn segment. And if you're watching us live, please feel free to take part in this. And if you're watching the replay, let us know in the comments sections. Last week, our winners were Jeff and Robert. Jeff Cutrer and Robert Whalen were our winners last week. Maybe you can win this week. What do you win? Bragging rights. That's what you win if you bet the barn here on Midwest Sports Net. So let's go to our first one. This is a big, big matchup in the Mid-South, and we're talking about Lindsey Wilson at Georgetown. A couple of good defenses. These really are a couple of strong defenses, and that's where we're saying, you know what? We think this is going to be a lower scoring game. Now, not picking the winners in this one. And even though Georgetown has scored 45 twice this season, it's been against opponents in which, you know, we've said here on the program it would be a favorable matchup. So here we go. Over-under on Lindsey Wilson taking on Georgetown. The total points, the line says 49.5. Over-under on 49.5. A couple of quality defenses. As a matter of fact, Lindsey Wilson is number 16 in the country in giving up points. And Georgetown, number 12 in the country. Those defenses holding things out. It's all right. You know what? Yeah, Dave, we need a record of this one. So let's see here. Dave says he's going to try to steer me wrong this time. I did throw you under the bus, didn't I, last week? Sorry about that. That's all right. All right. So these are points. Georgetown, Lindsey Wilson. Points. You can just go ahead and put points GC on this one. Points GC. And we'll give you a little time if you'd like to participate tonight in our Bet the Barn segment. This is points GC, over or under. Over or under on the points GC. And obviously, Georgetown can put some points on the board. Garrick Slunaker does a great job leading the team. They pick up wins left and right. Just struggle last week, put only 7 points on the board last week. Lindsey Wilson, all they have done is just take care of business this year. All right, we're going to put them up so they're on record here. Dave says points GC over. Going to take the over on that one. Anyone else want to give it a shot? I see Leo. Leo's going to be taking the under on this one. This one is a tough one, and I think you could be looking at a defensive struggle again. And so I want to go on record as taking the under in this one. And that's a low number to take the under on. It really is. Especially when the banner down there has point as singular. So it's 41.5 points. Sorry about that. All right. Anyone else taking that? Go ahead and feel free to put it in the comments section if you're watching the video on demand as well. And we will we'll go from there. Okay. Next one. We bring up another one here. And this one is another one points-wise, and I can tell you that the line has this one a little bit higher. We move to the Sooner Athletic Conference, where the OUAZ Spirit are traveling to Langston to play in Anderson Stadium. And I will say that not only have I been to Anderson Stadium a number of times to watch games and to do Midwest Sports Saturday, I actually got to see OUAZ there a few years back. An overtime matchup. It was an absolute thriller. And this one, we think it should be a little bit higher. I think it's going to be a higher scoring game. Not that the defenses can't play. OUAZ clearly has an offense that can put points on the board. And their new coach, Riley Murphy, no question about that as well. They're just picking up where they left off. Langston has not done as well this season, but playing a couple of Division I opponents will do that to you. It's a 1-3 record, and I think Coach Morgan's team is ready to put some points on the board. They're ready to show people what they can do. It is a Sooner Athletic Conference game now. It really means more, honestly. I mean, I hate to say that. If you're playing Grambling or you're playing UT Rio Grande Valley, you want to get the win. But this one may mean a little more. So we are setting the line on this one in our Bet the Barn segment for Langston hosting OUAZ. We're going to say 69.5 points. That's where the line is on this one. Are you willing to bet the barn over or under total points in this one? It's a totals bet. Over under OUAZ at Langston. Give you just a little bit of time here. Go ahead and put OUAZ. Points OUAZ over under. Points OUAZ over under. That way we'll know for sure where your pick is being made, especially if you're watching on demand. Points OUAZ over under. That's a lot of points. Definitely more points than we gave the line on the last one. And again, not because we don't think the defenses are any good. We just think the offenses can make things happen and light things up. Anderson Stadium is a fun place to watch a game. It's one of those it used to be. It's two sides of the stadium now. It used to have one big side, definitely. And then we're going to put that out there. All right, so we go to the comments section now, and Dave says OUAZ points under. Okay. And Leo says OUAZ points under. You guys are both not willing to bet the barn that they're going to put points on the board. I think I'm not going to say it can be lopsided one side or the other, but I think that there are a lot of points that could be put up here. And even though I did put the line, and not because I'm scared that Dave's going to steer me wrong, I think there are a lot of points that are going to happen in this game. I really do. And this at 69.5, this sees both teams could be scoring into the 30s, and I think that's what's going to happen. So I'm going to go with the over. I'm on record as saying the over. All right. So let's move on. One final game with two Bet the Barn opportunities. It's Grandview. It's William Penn. Now, these are a couple of good defenses too, but there are a couple of good offenses. Grandview's putting up 40.8 points a game. William Penn putting up 39.2 points a game. That adds up to 80 points a game. I don't see that happening. I think 80 points is way too much in this one. And I think the defenses are going to step in as well because these two defenses are pretty strong too. And this is where it kicks in. The Vikings on defense, flipping. Dave says, let's see here. Yeah, Dave says flipping a coin. I get it. I totally understand on that one. That one could be the case. All right. The defenses here, Grandview's giving up just 12.8 points a game. William Penn just giving up 18.8 points a game. Seems like a lot in comparison, definitely to what Grandview's doing, but I suppose that's here or there. So here is the first bet. What are you going to do with this one? Over-under on points. Over-under on points. We're putting the line in this one at 46.5. This is because we think the defenses are going to be a little bit stronger in this one. So Grandview or GV, Grandview points, Grandview GV points, over under 46.5. I think it could be tough going for one team or the other or both. The defenses really kick in Oskaloosa. GV points over or under. There's that cough drop. Hey, Rudolph, glad you made it tonight too. GV points over under. Dave's still flipping a coin here. Let's see if Dave gets his in there. I will tell you, I struggled with this one. I think it's a fair line because of the way the defenses are going to be here. I think if one team gets rolling, then they're going to stick with it. But I don't see it happening in the first half. I think that's where the defenses really kick in and the offenses try to find what's happening. This is a game where halftime adjustments could be big for one team or the other. But let's see if we put these up here really quickly. Rudolph, glad you made it tonight. Roll Bulldogs. Leo says over. GV points over. And Dave says it's a tough one. GV points over. And I agree with Dave on this one. I'm going to say it's a tough one, too. I'm taking the over on Grandview. This one also with Grandview, so we will we'll take the points off, and we'll say total offense. These are two teams that can put a lot of yards up. But here's where the difference is between these two. Sometimes you can put up a lot of yards in a game like this and not be able to convert and put points on the board. So we're going to go with the total offense over-under on this one. So please put yards, GV or Grandview. Yards, GV or Grandview, over-under. And here's your line. 679 yards of total offense. 679 yards of total offense. What do you have on this one? They both put up more than 400 yards a game on average. And I think that this, at least proportionally, is a little bit higher number than the points line that we gave. So feel free to kick right on in on this one. Last one of the night. Last one of the night here. GV yards, over or under. All right, Leo says under, just under. All right, we'll see how that plays out. I was cheering for Friends rushing yards last week, and I should have been cheering against them. Not really against them, but I'd pick the under. I thought I picked the over. Dave, you want to participate really quickly? We'll see if you want to be a part of this one as well. A lot of yards. Okay, so we'll put Dave's up there. A lot of yards, but took the points, so taking the yards. Okay. GV yards over for Dave. And I went with the points on this one, just barely. I'm going to go with the yards, too. I think they get just above that yards. I happen to agree on that one, but this is one of those where the defenses could kick in, and I could be completely off base. That's why that the line for the over-under on total points was relatively low. I think this could be a nice, if you are a fan of defense, fun matchup between the two. And I'm really, really interested to see how Coach Benavidez steps in. He has the home field advantage in this one. I would imagine there will be a good Statesman crowd there to cheer them on against the number one team in the country. Coming in 5-0 record, this would be a very good game, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this one turns out. So there we are. There is our Bet the Barn segment for the day. We said it would be an abridged show tonight, and it is that somewhat, and likely to be the case on Sunday as well. It is Happy Anniversary Day. Today is the day, 32nd anniversary for Mrs. Midwest Sportsnet and me. So a shout out to Jody in this one. I love you, and I am really glad that we get to have a 32nd anniversary, and you are my person. So I do want to say thank you to her. And then, of course, it's not only anniversary week, it is Mrs. Midwest Sports' birthday was yesterday. So her anniversary is today. It's birthday week, anniversary week. So this weekend might have an abridged show as well. But tune in anyway on Sunday night, and we will go through the week. We have a lot to talk about. We'll do our Bet the Barn segment. Charles, I'm sorry that you had to miss the live. We do give a shout out to CJ as well. So thank you, Leo. Appreciate you. Happy birthday to Mrs. Midwest Sportsnet as well from Charles, and a happy anniversary too. Our shout out to CJ. We talked about him a little bit earlier there. Lots of birthday and anniversary wishes to Mrs. Midwest Sportsnet. And if she is not watching, I will definitely pass them along to her in just a moment. So that is it. If you didn't get a chance to be a part of the Bet the Barn segment, Charles, go back, put it in the comments section. Let us know what you think. We'll have our winners. We'll talk about that. Lots of great matchups, crossover games, as well as some conference games that have big-time implications, including that big one there, Lindsey Wilson, Georgetown, as well as the Hart North matchup between Grandview and William Penn. Can the Statesmen pull off the upset at home against the number one team in the country? That would really be something. Grandview coming in with 64 consecutive regular season wins. That is all for tonight. So thank you so much for watching. Shout out to everyone. The channel just continues to grow. And the reason that happens is because of you. We have a great community here, and you all are in fact awesome. God made you all well. I'm really excited to get to visit with you every single week here. We'll do it again on Sunday night. In the meantime, thank you again for watching. God bless you. Have a great week, and let's watch some cool NAI football this weekend.